Hi everyone. Today we will be talking about Head Start program. My name is Ala.
My name is YuanJan.
My name is Ziwei.
We will start by defining the program.
Head Start is a program of the United States Department of Health and Human Services that provides comprehensive early education, health, nutrition, and parent involvement service to low-income children and their families.
Head Start history. Talking about the history, it all started since 1964. I will start by giving you a very simple description about the history starting off 1960s. As you see in front of you, Head Start in 1960 was initiated, but it was initiated as an 8-week summer program by President Lyndon Johnson. In 1966, the research proved that this program was very effective and helped children, so they decided to authorize the program as a school year program. 1970s, the funding increased for this Head Start program. It also included children with disabilities. Since 1960s until 1970s, although the Head Start program was running, there was no performance standards. So these standards were created in 1970s. 1980s, although funding increased to exceed $1 billion, questions started popping about mothers' employment, how it affects mothers' employment. Also, they started having questions about whether this program is really effective or not on the long term. 1980s Head Start Reauthorization Act created new opportunities to lead early care and education. The act focused on program quality, included services for children from birth to 3, and increased focus on collaboration. Going back to 1960s, War on Poverty was announced by President Lyndon Johnson. During that time, he authorized Head Start program, the creation of this preschool program, to give disadvantaged low-income students a head start. In 1965, Head Start initiated an 8-week summer program through local public schools that served more than 500,000 children nationwide. Based on the success of the summer program, the Congress authorized funding for a Head Start program as a full school year program under the Federal Office of Economic Opportunity with no standards in place, which is weird for me actually. 1970s, Head Start mandated to serve children with disabilities. That's an important change in the program. Bilingual and bicultural migrant and seasonal programs served in 21 states. The first Head Start performance standards were created and published in 1975. Moving on to 1980s and 1990. 1980, Head Start budget exceeded $1 billion. The program was a success with 451,000, like almost 452,000 children enrolled in the program. In 1980s, questions started popping up about mothers' employment. How is this affecting them? It also started asking questions about the effectiveness of this program. 1980s, Congress passed Head Start Expansion and Quality Improvement Act. In 1994, the Head Start Reauthorization Act created new opportunities to lead early care and education. The act focused on program quality, included services for children from birth to 3, and increased focus on collaboration, parents' collaborations, families, teachers, professionals. 2000. In 2007, President George W. Bush signed the Improving Head Start Act, enhancing standards and reauthorizing Head Start for another 5 years. By 2010, Head Start had invested the funding to expand the enrollment for children and their families. In 2006, a 1% budget cut had occurred, which is the first time budget cut had occurred. for like in the Head Start history. In 2013, President Barack Obama proposed early learning initiative to expand access to all children, meaning because the program basically focuses on low-income families. President Obama suggested that this program should include children from middle-class families, low-class families, and children aged 3 and 4. So we will watch a brief summary for the Head Start program's history.
I remember the first book I was given, which was great because I couldn't afford any books, giving us books and sitting there behind our little desk and reading. I can remember that. It was just such a pivotal point in my life.
Today we're able to announce that we will have open and we believe operating this summer, coast to coast, some 2,000 child development centers. This means that nearly half the preschool children of poverty will get a head start on their future.
Is that the same as this? Yay!
From the absolute beginning, Head Start was never intended as just a preschool. The emphasis was on comprehensive services, nutrition, health screening, health care, social services, new careers for the parents with training and income, helping people get out of the cycle of poverty. And that includes energizing, giving people confidence that they can do this, and it's one step at a time.
I was the only one to attend Head Start, and my sister, who was 2 years older than I am, the huge difference it made. We have two people who grew up in the same house in the same circumstances, and I was a person who excelled at school. I am the person who went on to college. I'm the person that started my own business. I truly believe that I had a better opportunity for success than she did because I got to go to Head Start.
Reflecting on the video we've just watched before moving on to the next slide, I just want to say that I consider the Head Start program to be one of the most effective programs in the nation, as it really has a positive impact on our nation. And I have not know enough words to add to appreciate or like be thankful for the first time that the program was started, or for President Johnson. So anyhow, going back to the PowerPoint, interesting, I just collected a few interesting facts about the Head Start, starting with the fact that says in 1970s, policymakers attempted to replace the Head Start program with Sesame Street show, arguing that the show costs very little compared to the Head Start program, of course, but it creates the same outcomes as Head Start does. Which is confusing to me, as all they're focusing about is the educational development, and they are ignoring any other developmental skills. The other interesting fact was that the average Head Start teacher with a bachelor's degree in the US makes only $33,373 per year. And that is why we don't have, like, teachers are not willing to pursue their degrees to get paid this amount of money. The last interesting fact is, since its launch in 1965, Head Start has enrolled 30 million children, which is wonderful. We have a lot of children in the program.
Now I'm going to share the illustrate examples gathered from the interviews that highlight the importance of our topic to diverse children and their families. Me and Ala interviewed with Head Start teachers, and YuanJan interviewed had an interview with a Chinese family, and in Ala's interview, she had an interview with a Head Start teacher who had been teaching for Head Start program in Fairfax County for 2 years. Her interview was conducted in person and at that teacher's classroom, and they mainly talked about the federal Head Start funding policies. And the teacher said the Head Start funding policy impact on the teachers, the children, and the families. And they also talk about the classroom facility, and the teacher said they don't have enough resource for their children. And in my interview, I had an interview with a Head Start teacher, and we also talk about the Head Start funding, and we mainly talk about the FISA program is under the Head Start program, and the FISA program is for the income eligible children. So FISA program is a process that they go through with families' income to see if they qualify for the program. The teacher from my interview said the ultimate goal for this program for children's school readiness. So they are working on that all the time with the kids. And she also told me that one of the really great things about this program is that they are able to look at all aspects of the children development, and they follow their physicals and dental examination of all children to make sure they are all children. Also, they have a resource in the program to make sure the children and their families all have enough food and adequate clothing for different seasons. YuanJan's interview, she had an interview with a Chinese family, and this family has a doctor. She's 4 years old, and she's a dual language learner, and she's in the Head Start classroom now. And the mother from this family said the improvements for their daughter was that after a year of Head Start, she had made a greater improvements in some areas, such as the English vocabulary development, cognitive and social skills. So they think the Head Start program is very important for their family, and they love the Head Start program. There is a record from Ala's interview, and I will show you this record.
3 field trips a year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we are down to 2.
Okay.
And we can't go anywhere that we have to pay an entry fee.
Oh.
So we couldn't go to Greenspan because you have to pay an entry fee.
Yeah.
Or we couldn't go to the Kennedy Center to one of the preschool plays because you have to pay an entry fee.
Mm-hmm.
That impacts my children
Sure.
hugely.
Oh.
Yeah. We will be getting next year. When I started Head Start, we had 16 children.
Mm-hmm.
The federal guidelines are 20 with 2 adults.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I started in Fairfax County with 16 children.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, they added a 17th child.
Mm-hmm.
Next year, they will add an 18th child. Now, let me tell you how that will impact my classroom. I cannot put 18 children on this rug.
Sure.
I need a rectangle rug.
Mm.
I will have to we're missing a child today, but I'll have to put another cot,
Yeah.
which will make work. My fridge, I have one of the small fridges. I will have to put 2 more cartons of milk and bigger containers for fruit.
And you don't have space.
And we don't have space.
Mm.
And I've tried to say to Fairfax County, okay,
You're increasing the
you are
number
increasing
of
the
children.
number of children. This is what I need to make it work.
Exactly.
The other thing that concerns me in Fairfax County is there have been many people retire from the Head Start office, because they've been around for a while. Many of those positions haven't been replaced,
Oh.
so the support that I get as a classroom teacher is less.
Such a...
Now I'm talking about the current news stories, and the first one is Trump could try to deport illegal immigrants who get federal benefits. And the second one is talking about an Ohio teacher who worked with children in the Head Start program was fired for dragging a student. And the third one is talking about the benefits of a high-quality Head Start program lasting into middle school.
I'll be talking about the Head Start funding. So the sheet you have in front of you, it states all the states, the funding, and the enrollment numbers. For the first one, focused on year 2017. When I scroll down, I want you to see Virginia. Virginia's funding for 2017 was almost 1,034,000,000, let's say, or like 1,033,500,000 dollars. The children that were enrolled in the program are 14,264. So the total for this year, it's highlighted in yellow. The funding for the total funding is the number you can see in front of you. It's hard for me to read these numbers. I mean, this is a lot of numbers. But looking at the enrollment, we have 899,374 children enrolled in the program for 2017. Scrolling down for 2016, the funding for Virginia had increased a little bit. Still, the number of children also increased, because if I compare it to the previous one, it was 14,264, while now we have 14, this is for 2016, we have 14,397. Keeping in mind the fact that this data you see in front of you right now is for 2016, while the previous one was for 2017. So the funding decreased and the number of children enrolled decreased for Virginia only. But overall, the total funding, like if we compare the funding and the number of children enrolled, we would notice that there is, looking at the federal funding and funding enrollment by states, we would notice that there is a decrease in the number of children that are enrolled in the program, while the fundings are increasing. And this makes me wonder why. Why would the funding increase and the number of children enrolled in the program decrease? That is a bit confusing for me. I tried to search the reasons, but I couldn't come up with any specific reason. I'm sorry. If you find any information, please share it with me. Looking at the other tables I have, it's Virginia Start and Early Head Start program. To compare the numbers we have for children, percent of children in the state served, you would see that the red line represents 40-year-old children, while the purple line represents the 3 years old, and the green line represents who are 3 and under 3. So yes, the program basically focuses on preschool children 4 and 5 years old, from 4 to 5. Ending my data sheet with this data in front of you that shows the number of children enrolled over time by age. As I mentioned before, the number is increasing basically, and it targets children who are 40 years old from low-income families. Talking about the critical issues for the Head Start program, I couldn't cover all the issues. I found a lot of issues with the program. So basically, I will just mention the topics, and maybe I will have the chance to talk about one issue. Starting with no lasting impact for children by first grade. This was considered an issue. The universal versus targeted approach or programs. Uneven program quality. Low staff wages. Inadequate funding. limited resources, and more other issues to talk about. Back to the issues, I would focus on the issue that says there is no lasting impact for children by first grade. Basically, critics would argue that the benefits of access to Head Start at age 4 are largely absent by first grade for the program population as a whole, while other critics, including me and my friends, believe that investing in Head Start has a long-lasting and positive effect on states. One study found that the United States will see a net benefit of at least $83.3 billion in reduced grade retention, students qualifying for special education, and other factors for each cohort of 4-year-olds attending preschool. So I basically, myself, I support the Universal Head Start program. Talking a bit about the inadequate funding, which is forcing program administration to trade off enrollment against hours and quality, in addition to preventing all children in need from being enrolled in the program. Let me be fair about the fact that the Head Start program is doing a wonderful job. Like, I would consider enrolling children in a Head Start program is awesome, but I think our nation can do better than that if we face the issues we have in the Head Start program.
There are some recommendations for Head Start program. Well, the Head Start program has been established for more than 50 years ago. The outcomes are not as effective as expected. Although the federal funding for the program is increasing each year, the number of children enrolled in the program is decreasing accordingly, raising questions and concerns about the spendings and the effectiveness of the program. Designating a part of the funds to prepare, recruit, and hire highly qualified teachers, ensuring a successful collaboration between the teachers and the families, and developing a professional plan to follow up with the teachers and school administration for addressing their needs are among the recommendations to ensure achieving high-quality early childhood education programs and produce effective outcomes for children and their families.
How to be an advocate. Who could you write a letter to? Individuals involved in the Head Start program and others with a special interest in the program are in a perfect position to be heard by policymakers. And the National Head Start Association has put together an easy way to send a message to senators and representatives in Washington, D.C. And this is the link. And what event could you participate in? Parent Leadership Institute 2018. This is an event that provides parents an opportunity to develop leadership, communications, and advocacy skills that will help them personally and help policy council. And this training will be very interactive, so parents will get a lot of practice with their developing skills, great for parents and for staff who work with families. And if you want to find more information or events or resources, policy or regulation, you can check this organization below. First is National Head Start Association or Virginia Head Start Association or Office of Head Start, and the last one is Washington State of Head Start and ECEAP.
From learning Head Start program, I learned a lot of things from this program. And compared to my country, in China, we don't have Head Start program. And for children before the elementary school, they have to pay to go to the preschool and kindergarten.
Even children with low income?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's the same as
They
my
have
country.
to. They have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the Head Start program, and
Interesting. It is the same in my country.
really.
Yeah.
And in my country, and there's so difference between the target school and universal school, and in my country I think the universal school is much better than the target.
Reflecting on what I've learned from this project, I would say that yes, we do have a rich history of Head Start, and basically proud of the history we have. Um, as my friend mentioned, I do not have like my country of origin. We do not have a free preschool for low-income families, which is sad. But let me add this. I believe that history is not enough. We need to provide better education for our children. This is the next generation. So yes, I support universal Head Start. I would assume that the highest quality services should be provided in Head Start. I would demand to increase the funding, increase the number of children who can be enrolled in the program, support the teachers, the staff, because they are the one who are doing all the work. To overcome these challenges, I would recommend advocating for Head Start. Families, parents, teachers, anyone can think or cares about the program should advocate about the program. Head Start?
Yes, both of them.
Okay, and like, do you think it's effective? It was effective?
Yeah, it actually had them, I think, ready so that they can start learning more of school, and also be part of the part of the school curriculum as soon as they got there. They didn't have to like cry and be ready for school. They literally were all ready for their school and
They have the knowledge,
already
the background.
separated from their parents where they can actually be a part of the classroom environment.
Okay, last question. Were you involved in the program as a parent or your wife?
We actually just went only like on the like for the pickup times, went there to go pick them up and just did things like that. I think the only time I ever was involved was when I was in I think Florida. I took them on like a few field trips for the schooling. That was it.
Oh, okay.
We actually got to take them out. Oh, but yeah, that was.
Okay.
But no, that's all I helped out with.
So you would say it is an effective program?
It is, yeah.
You have experience in Head Start.
Yes, I have.
Okay, what do you think about it honestly? And it's
Honestly-
something for me as a student only.
I feel that Head Start helps a lot.
Okay.
And it gives them like a heads in advance of what's going to happen at school. And it helps them understand a few things that in the future they're going to be able to understand once they go to school.
And would you say that what your daughter learned, would you say that she still, like you can feel that it affects her until now?
Yes.
Okay. Last question. What will you say about the quality of teaching? Have you been like a parent? Have you been involved? I mean, as a parent, I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, I haven't been involved
'Cause you've
that
been
much
busy with your
because
kids.
I've been busy with my other two kids. But if I every time that I volunteer or anything that Head Start used to send me to help out with my Jackie, it actually helped a lot.
Thank you for watching our presentation.
And we are looking forward to hear from you and learn from your experience. And please share your experiences with us.
I like group work. Thank you,
So,
YuanJan.
let me
Thank you,
add
Ala.
something. Thank you. Let me add something about references.
Okay.
So references with a lot. I will make sure we list them for you. Just to give you a hint about the references, we use the Head Start, ECED, LKC as a reference. We used the book, Rose book, the book that was recommended by the professor. We used Introduction of Head Start and Maternal Labor Supply. A lot of references. These are useful references. I would recommend if you can check these references for your own knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.